You've clicked on the thumbnail, so that tells me you are interested in CNCing, and more specifically, the Onefinity CNC. I've had my machine for 3 years, and I've estimated that is about 800 to 1,000 working hours. So I have had plenty enough time to figure out what I like, what I don't like, and if I would buy this machine again. So if you've been to my channel before, you've probably heard me say it 100 times. I love CNCing. I love the entire process of going from a thought or an idea to a finished project, and I want you to love it too. In the 3 years I've had my machine, I've made about 100 YouTube videos, and I would say 80% of those are geared toward the CNC process and the Onefinity CNC. So I want you to take a quick second, go down there, hit that subscribe button. That way I will be bookmarked onto your YouTube feed. And after this video, go check out my channel. I've got all kinds of videos where I make all kinds of cool stuff. And these things aren't just for wood. You can cut PVC, you can cut acrylic, or you can carve into the wood, pour some epoxy, and then end up carving that epoxy and create some awesome looking signs. Before I get into my opinions here, despite what that sign up there says, I am in no way, shape, or form sponsored by Onefinity. That is just a test project they do in their factory before they ship you your machine. They put a cute little note on the back, toss it in the box, and send that with you. So I had it, so I figured, why not? I would put it up there. But all my opinions are going to be mine and mine alone, and they're going to be through my experience of running this thing for 3 years now. Let's start with the bad here for no other reason than, well, why not? So when you get your machine, this is the screen that they gave you. This is incredibly small. You can see it is barely bigger than a smartphone. So you can imagine trying to thumb through hundreds, if not thousands of files that you end up creating and jogging your machine around and doing all that stuff on here. This is just not good. This is embarrassing. Within 2 to 3 months after I ordered my machine, they ended up offering a 10-inch screen, which is quite a bit bigger than this. So that is definitely an improvement. I had this old monitor kicking around in the basement, so I figured, well, why not? I'll just use that. I have mine just hooked up with the mouse. This is not a touchscreen. Although I might end up upgrading to a touchscreen. I think it would be kind of cool just to be able to touch this thing and scroll that way. But the mouse works perfectly well. Everything's going well. So the first bad is pretty embarrassing. It is this incredibly small screen right here. You're in the process of ordering your CNC. You've added that to your cart. And then it dawns on you, you need some sort of dust collection. So you go to their accessory page, and this is what you find. This is the Suck It Dust Boot offered by Onefinity. I do not like this design. It is not robust by any means. I broke 2 of these in really no time at all. And I even in that process ordered more brushes and more of the other side pieces that hold this to your Z carriage. I didn't like the design. I didn't like the fact that this is very thin plastic. Do yourself a favor. Get yourself one of these aftermarket dust boots right here. I will leave a link down in the description to the Etsy shop that I got this one from. I don't know the shop. I'm not affiliated with them. I just really love this boot. This is thick. This is robust. And it's got to be because I have not broken it yet. And like I said, I broke 2 of these in no time at all. Besides this thing being better built, I just like the style of it. What I mean by that is this dust boot locks onto your router and then it moves up and down with your Z carriage versus this that has a couple of arms that come down off of the side of your carriage. And then this basically just gets locked in on one elevation. I just didn't like the style of it. I didn't like having to do the tool changes in here. So do yourself a favor. Don't buy this one. End up going with an aftermarket. You will be so much happier in the end. The third negative I have about this machine is not just a knock on Onefinity. It is a lot of the machines in the industry and even lasers as well. They don't give you any sort of cable management. They just kind of sell you the machine and they leave that part up to you. Now, luckily, when I bought my machine, there were a bunch of geniuses already on that problem and solving it. You can download all kinds of projects and then 3D print all your own pieces to create your own drag chain. And then there's just minimal extra pieces you can get at a hardware store, just some aluminum channel and then some nuts and bolts. And then you've got your own drag chain. With a machine like this thing is running in 3 different axes. So those cords are just sloppy. They're hanging off the side. And with this machine moving in all sorts of different directions, that cable is going to get caught up on something. It's going to get twisted. It's going to get yanked out of your machine. Or worse, it's going to get pulled into your router. So you definitely have to get some sort of drag chain. Now, I was on the website a little while ago, and I did notice they do now offer a drag chain option for the accessories, so that is great. Would be nice if it was part of the machine package and it was just included into the cost. I think they got it about 130, 150 bucks, something like that. It's not included, but definitely add it to your cart. It is well worth it. You need something. There was one incident where this machine jogged when I was carving a sign, and I couldn't quite understand what it was doing. And then I looked into all these ball screws, and they were absolutely filthy. I had been filming a bunch of YouTube videos at the time, so I wasn't using any of my dust collection, and I was at about the year mark of owning this machine, and I should have done the maintenance well before that. But even if I had, because I was shooting those videos, there was no dust collection. It was just covering this whole machine. And then it was a little bit colder outside, so the dust and the cold and all that stuff caused the machine to jog a little bit. That's not a knock on the machine. I feel like any machine I had would have done the same thing. And really, that's my fault for not doing the maintenance. So I'm pretty diligent on that maintenance. I've done it every 3 months, and I have not had a problem like that again. Enough negative. Let's talk about the positive. And it is the most positive thing. It is the reason why I bought this machine, and that is these ball screws right here. This machine is incredibly strong. It is incredibly accurate. And I'm going to show you this power in action. I was carving the bench top for my workbench there, and I had put a weight on the back of it's basically a door, and I put it too close to the carving area. Now, that weight is full of all-thread rod. It's probably about 40, 45 pounds, so it's pretty heavy. I've got it too close, and you can see the machine bumps it and then just keeps on carving like nothing. And that's exactly what I wanted. I obviously didn't intend to have a large weight in the way, but I wanted something that was just going to work. It was just going to plow through. It was going to do exactly what I asked it to do, and I wouldn't have to come out here and worry about, if I have a little clamp in the way, it'll just cut right through. Another reason why I was loving the ball screw design of the Onefinity CNC was I was concerned about belts. I didn't want to have to worry about tension and the pulleys and just the overall makeup of the belt. I live in Michigan. It's very hot in the summer. It's very cold in the winter. I don't know if you can see my breath there, but my shop is not climate controlled. I am at the mercy of the elements, and so is all the equipment in my shop. I know that rubber will tend to harden up and shrink up when it's cold, so in the winter, and then in the summer it's going to get more loose. You're going to be able to play around with it. It's going to be more pliable. And I didn't know how that was going to affect the accuracy of the machine. And another concern with that was the cumulative effect over the seasons, the constant hot, cold, hot, cold. How was that going to affect the rubber? Was it going to start to get splits and frayed on the back? And was it going to run the way that it should? So worrying about the condition of the belts and how that is affecting the accuracy of the machine was something I did not want to have to deal with. So that's why I went with the Onefinity. After talking about the things I don't like and the things that I like, would I buy this exact same machine again? Yes, I would. This entry-level hobby machine has done everything I've asked of it, and I know it is definitely capable of more. They label these things as hobby machines. I don't quite understand that. It makes it sound like these things are light duty and they're not really capable of doing that much. But I can assure you that is not the truth. This thing is a beast. And guys, I'm running just a trim router here. The largest bit I can safely put in there is a 1/4-inch end mill. If you upgrade it to a spindle, you could be running 1/2-inch bits. You could take deeper cuts and run them a lot faster than I am. So this thing is anything but a hobby light duty machine. It has been 3 years since I purchased my machine. At that time, Onefinity was just starting to get their wheels rolling, and I can tell you they are full steam ahead right now. The accessories that were available to me at the time, I didn't quite love, but now that website has all kinds of accessories you can add on to your cart right when you're ordering your machine. They have multiple dust boots available. They have the drag chain add-on. The new style controller would have eliminated that problem I had with doing the lack of maintenance like I was supposed to. This machine thought it was in a different spot. It had thought it had hit some kind of limit, so it kind of jogged to a different spot. And with that new style controller, those things are so smart that it talks to the motor and then it gets a signal back from the motor, and it would have been able to tell that there was a slight issue. The one that I have is just ran with a Raspberry Pi. Now, I am not any kind of electronics expert, but I do know those are limited, and I'm sure running a CNC is probably at the top of its range of what they can do. You can even add on the possibility of upgrading your router to an actual spindle, and then they even have stuff that make this Onefinity right here a mobile workstation. It's a fold-up cart. You can have your Onefinity on that, tuck it into the corner. That way your footprint is much smaller than something like this. And then you can pull it out onto the driveway, pull it onto a job site, and run it just like you would if you were inside of a shop. If you haven't done it already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Go through the channel, check out those other videos, and see all the amazing things you can make with a CNC. While you're surfing those videos, if you see me doing something foolish or you know of a better way to do something, please drop a comment down below. I would love to be able to open up the lines of dialogue and discuss my love of CNC with somebody else other than Mrs. Sawdust, and she would love that too. So until next time, take it easy.